Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's 12 minutes to 6. I'm getting earlier. I actually really enjoyed that campsite last night. It was incredibly peaceful. Just the sound of the creek next to you. So I had some food to start with, and then I laid in bed for a bit. I was editing a video a couple of nights ago, and basically I kept sort of like nodding off every 5 minutes, and I just couldn't remember where I'd got to on the video or if I'd done it all, so I basically went through that again. And the same thing happened again, which doesn't say a great deal for my content, does it? But I did manage to get all the way through it. And I know I've got day 92 done, or I think I've got day 92 done. If you watch it, and if there's any glaring mistakes in it, it's because I was asleep twice whilst I was editing it. So the main issue yesterday was trail conditions. Incredibly overgrown in places. Just as I say it, loads of blowdowns across the trail, and not just the odd one either. I'm talking like probably upwards of 40 or 50 more, if you're counting ones that you can just step over. It was actually starting to get to me when I got to camp last night, especially the overgrown trail. It's so difficult because I know it doesn't sound too bad, but one, it can be difficult to actually see the trail sometimes. So you get to a point and you're like, well, where does it go? Two, when it is overgrown, you're like pushing through the undergrowth. You've got stuff scraping the outside of your pack. If you're like me and you carry your tent on the outside, you've got to be conscious of damaging your tent. Your stuff getting flicked back into your face. And the big one for me is you can't see where you're putting your feet. So you're concentrating on not getting like a branch in your eye or something like that, and you won't see the whacking great tree root or rock that's sticking out of the ground, and you'll go flying. So it's just a lot of little things. Once again, I'm not whining or complaining. I'm just trying to explain the situation. Sorry if it's coming across as whining. So this morning, last night. Last night it was just getting dusk, sort of like difficult to see. You could still see a little bit with the naked eye, but it was getting a bit difficult. And I heard this like, the dreaded sort of like twigs cracking in the undergrowth. I'm like, oh, what is it now? And I was looking around, and it was on the trail side of me, which I thought it would be. I just saw this pair of legs go past. I'm like, all right. And then I realised it was a deer, and it was actually walking down the trail, just like that one that was running to me the other day. So it was walking down the trail, and it came right into the campsite, and it walked right through the tent site next to me. There was nobody there, and just went down to the stream for a drink. They must be very used to humans, I think. It's about 6:30. The sun is kind of You won't be able to tell through the trees, sorry, but it's just hitting the tops of the mountains in the valley. So it's on its way up. At the moment, it's nice and shaded and cool in here. I was saying last night about the lack of tent sites marked on the app in this section. I've just passed like a really nice plateau area. And there was a couple there just getting ready to start hiking. They had a nice little spot, and then there was a load of spots that just you would need to clear a few branches and pine cones and stuff, but there was a load of spots on the edge of the plateau overlooking the valley that would have been usable. Sorry, that was a lot higher than I thought it was going to be, that trunk. Well, this has been a monster of a climb. It's not been too steep, but the problem again has been the blowdowns and the overgrown trail. It is. This last 24 hours has been by far the worst part of trail that I've hiked so far. Some blowdowns in really, really dangerous places. An overgrown trail and trail crumbling away down the side of the mountain. Whew. Hot as well. But yeah, my legs are just scratched to heck and back. Seem to be getting maybe somewhere near the top. I could see the prints from the deer on the trail, and I was just thinking to myself, oh, there's been a deer on the trail here. And it was just, again, stood staring at me. And now it's maybe a bit late for breakfast, maybe it's brunch. Well, this is Triangulation Rock, or Lookout Rock. Look out! Oh, a very strange rock formation there. But it is a stupendous view from here, and it's a real shame that I didn't get to camp up here last night, or sleep up here, should I say. Doesn't look as though I could have put my tent up on this rock, but I probably would have cowboyed up here. The sun would have been rising right there this morning, directly in front of us. Instead, I was right at the bottom of that valley somewhere, which wasn't too bad. Like I say, it was a nice camp spot, but blooming heck, this would have been breathtaking up here this morning. Yes, indeed. So getting here means I've done about 7 miles this morning already. So by my reckoning, that should mean I've got about 8 left to get to the road. So that's very pleasing. It's approaching mile 1263, and it's just a little before 9 a.m. on Friday morning. Got some mobile phone service. Thought I'd just remember to check my tracking number of the parcel that I sent to myself. I was hoping it would be delivered today. At the moment, the latest tracking update is saying it's at the distribution centre in Sacramento. That was 1 o'clock this morning. Hopefully, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it turns up today or tomorrow. I've been doing bigger days to try and make up miles, and the last thing I really want is to have to spend an extra day in town just to wait for a parcel to arrive. That is Bucks Lake Road. It's the second of 3 places you can get off the trail to hitch into Quincy. I could do that now if I wanted to. I could stand there and try and hitch to Quincy. I think it's a bit more difficult than the place where I'm headed. The road I'm headed to is about another 4.5 miles, so I'm perfectly happy walking that. Oh wow, really overgrown. You could also hitch if you wanted to the opposite direction and go down to Bucks Lake itself. I think there's like I'm not altogether sure what there is down there, but there is some sort of services like a resort or a general store or cafe or something. Most people, I believe, hitch to Quincy, but as I say, I'll bypass this one and just carry on for the next one. Might as well get the miles done now while there's no kind of urgency. Then I don't have to do them when I come out of Quincy. Well, I've got under 3 miles to go to the road. Sorry, I'm having trouble stopping chuckling to myself. Yeah, it must be something like 2 miles now, actually. I've just met an Italian girl. I think that's my first Italian that I've met on trail. Her name was Icy. And she was stood talking to 2 really tall gentlemen, 2 Americans that were out hiking. And they introduced themselves. Now, I'm going to apologise because there's probably only people in the UK that are going to find this funny. But they introduced themselves as Paul and Barry. And I almost burst out with, to me, to you, to me, to you. Now, in the UK, I'll just explain for people who've got no clue what I'm going on about. In the UK, there was a pair of brothers, Paul and Barry. I'm sure it was Paul and Barry. And they were known as the Chuckle Brothers. And they were really popular, like kids entertainers and sort of like seaside resort entertainers as well. The kind of specialty was sort of like slapstick stupid humour. And their catchphrases were like, to me, to you, to me, to you. It makes no sense, but if you know, you know, basically. So yeah, it was a little awkward. I had to like subdue the laughter basically and the chuckling to myself. And I thought that was a good one. Right folks, it's around about 11 a.m. and I've made it to the Bucks Summit trailhead. This is where I need to hitch into Quincy. There's not a lot of traffic. There's been one car. I've only been here like 5 or 10 minutes at the most, but there's been one vehicle go past. So I might be here for a little while. But anyway, I found a shady spot. I might as well get myself settled. Might see you a bit later on. Probably stood in the same place. Right, I have arrived at my hotel 3 hours early, and they've let me check in early. I'm actually booked at the Gold Pan Lodge over the road, but apparently they acquired this motel 2 years ago, and this is where my room is. So, yeah, I'm in that room there. Yeah, well, it's right on the edge of town, basically. Little walk into town, but it's nothing too bad, maybe half a mile at the most. The good news is that I stopped at Safeway when I got dropped off by a trail angel. I got a ride from her into town. She was dropping somebody off at the trailhead and offered to take me back into town, which was very nice of her. Got into town, got dropped off at Safeway supermarket, did some shopping, got myself a salad and a load of fruit, and then look, it's arrived. I checked the tracking as I was walking past the post office and it said it had been delivered and it was ready for pickup. So that's exactly what I've done. So yeah, I am here for 2 nights and it's time to use, what have we got? Shower. I was hoping for a bath, but never mind, shower will do. That's it for a couple of days, folks. See you soon.